Hey, what's up everyone? I was watching a couple of videos and I'm sure some of you have watched it out in the social media world. What it is it's a social experiment, and they go out and they talk to parents and test kids to see if they can fall prey to kidnapping or rape, whatnot. So they pretend to kidnap children, and they also pretend to be girls or boys online to see if their children are going to talk to these people and eventually meet them, go to their house, go in someone's vehicle, all that stuff. Anyways, social experiment, y'all know it. I've watched many of them, and yesterday I watched one and it's like a light bulb went off. It was really focused on teenagers, young teenagers who are online speaking to people that they've never met and just talked to online, typing. And the parents came out and said, I told you not to talk to strangers. I told you blah, blah, blah. How could you do this? How could you do this? I've had numerous conversations with you and blah, blah. And what jumped out at me is that these parents are probably like 35 plus, 40 years old, 45 years old. And they have kids who are 13 that are living in a virtual reality age. They're living in a technologically advanced age, and where you game online. You're gaming with people that you don't know. You know, you are interacting with people online that you don't know. They're not really strangers. You've known them for a long time. You feel like you know them for a long time. And I think that where that missing piece is where parents now need to understand the world that these young people live in. It's not like how we grew up where you're telling kids not to talk to strangers, and it meant like literal stranger. You've never seen that person, never talked to that person whatsoever outside on the road. I believe that these kids growing up, they don't have any street smarts. They have technological technological smarts, but they don't have street smarts. And we need to break it down. What we need to do and what parents need to do, teachers need to do, is understand this world, this virtual world, and be able to relate to the children and be able to speak to them and say, okay, just because you speak to someone or you've gamed with someone for a year and a half doesn't make them someone you know. You don't know them still. You do not do this. You do not do that. I really believe, in listening to it, I was like, there's a breakdown. These kids really, really don't know. They don't realize. And not that I'm giving them an excuse, because common sense should tell you shouldn't jump into a vehicle with somebody you don't, they just said, oh, I'm so-and-so's parent. You don't do that. You don't go into someone's house just because they may look nice and you know it's somebody you've been talking to online for so long. It seems like common sense would be that, but these kids don't have any street smarts. They don't have none. They don't have it. We have to understand their world. Okay, you really got to understand their world. They're gaming with people, talking with people, as I said before, online all the time. That is just how this world is right now. So we have to come from that standpoint when we're talking to them about in the real world, and how if you meet somebody online, when you're going to meet them, where you should meet them. If you want to meet them, then ask your parent. Be open to that. We parents, you have to be open to that. If they want to meet somebody, okay, where do you know this person? And then do it the old school. Bring them back to the old school and say, okay, let's call this child up and let me talk to this person. Let me talk to their parent, and we can set up a meeting where you guys can meet, and I can meet the parents at the same time and find out who these people are, who this child is. You see what I'm saying? Bring it back old school and let them teach them that way. Be open to it, you know? Understand when your child is on the computer, go and see what it is, who they're talking to. When they're gaming with other people. When they're online talking, they're using some type of app or anything like that. They're interacting with other people. They're using Restaurant Story, and I used to use Restaurant Story, so I know. Anyways, there's different apps out there where you have to interact with people from all over the world. Next thing you know, your child pick up and gone to you on the Western Hemisphere, and they're gone to the Eastern Hemisphere. You don't want all of that. You want to know what's going on. You want to keep yourself up to date. Don't say, I don't understand all that internet stuff. I don't understand apps. What is apps? You know, it's applications. Understand the lingo. Understand what's going on. You know, I don't want to be lecturing parents, but I want to give you an understanding of why You know, these kids, these 13, 14, 11-year-olds, 8-year-olds are doing these. They're online from young, and they're talking to people from all over the world, and they don't see it as people they don't know. They see it as people that they do know, because they come to find out about who they are, what their parents are like, when they complain about their parents and all that. So when somebody else comes into the picture, where, you know, maybe a girl, oh, she's pretty and whatnot, but it might be a setup from some 40-odd-year-old man, pervert. But they won't see it as anything. Your son won't see it as anything. Your daughter won't see it as anything. So I just came on just to give you some insight. No way am I saying you shouldn't be angry with your child, but understand where we need to understand why they do that, and what is going on in their head, and what kind of world they live in. The World Wide Web, WWW, it really is another world. It so is. It so is. And you've got to understand what world they live in. That's the moral of the story. I guess I'm doing a moral of the story without even knowing it. But